Hi, my name is Namdi Ugum, and in this presentation, I'll be going over opioids and how they affect the brain, the body, and the overall way of living. In this class, we went over the CNS, the central nervous system, and how organized and effective it is when it comes to our day-to-day living and our day-to-day operations. Um, this includes cognitive skills, learning potential, and motor abilities. And one of the processes that the CNS helps in is also regulating pain. Pain can be divided and observed on multiple scales. However, the most relevant to us for the sake of this presentation is going to be acute and chronic pain. Acute pain can range depending on age, gender, degree of trauma, underlying health issues, etc. However, it all acts the same in the sense that, acute pain is nothing more than a continuous signal of recent damage and physical distress. This prolonged pain can turn critical if proper treatment isn't conducted properly or promptly, and then this is what we would now call chronic pain. So you can imagine somebody's in the gym weightlifting, they're doing shoulder presses, they get a lot of, sharp pain in their shoulder and they just ignore it like most guys are. We just ignore it, you know what I mean? But ignoring that and continuing to proceed with the exercises can result in further damaging that muscle, maybe messing up the rotator cuff, and then that would lead to the pain just prolonging. The neurons can continue firing. This person might need surgery. And obviously, you can imagine something more like ibuprofen, something more than ibuprofen or Motrin would be needed to deal with that pain. Um, So, in this presentation, I will be going over what opioids are, how they function in the brain, as well as the pros and the cons, so we can better understand how they work when it comes to pain management. So, what exactly are opioids for people who don't know? Opioids are a class of drugs which are extracted from the opium poppy plant that act as an analgesic along with various other side effects. Opioids were initially discovered through purification by Frederick Sertner in 1805. However, researchers have not conducted major studies until the 1970s. In 1973, a graduate student named Candace Pert used radioactive morphine to evaluate the site of action of morphine. She found that the drug was bound to specific areas of the brain, which opened up the idea that there were morphine receptors in the brain. Today, we recognize those receptors as mu, delta, and kappa receptors. When opioids bind to these receptors, they block pain signals from the body from reaching the brain. So with these three receptors, pretty much they're essential for determining how pain is received and transmitted. When these receptors, which are located in the presynaptic terminals of the delta and noccipital fibers, are bound to the opioid agonist, voltage-dependent calcium channels are suppressed. This suppression decreases C-amp levels and blocks the release of pain transmitters in the brain. So that's how that works. In other areas like the ventral tegmental area, opioids inhibit GABA, which allow dopaminergic neurons to fire more frequently, causing intense euphoria in patients. In the short term, this looks very harmless. However, that might not be the same case for someone experiencing persistent pain. Um, when the pain becomes persistent, this would result in sensitization. Sensitization is a process in which the neurons have a high response to the stimulus. The amount of endurance a person might have to the pain is cut down and response to the stimulus is increased. So, as a prescriber, this makes writing for opioids really, really complicated because, as we all know, opioids are highly addictive. And when you mix this high addiction, or sorry, before you even mix the high addiction, the doctor would have to prescribe a whole lot of that drug in order for them to get rid of that the sensitization. So a doctor is prescribing increasing the dose just so they can feel the same effect. As we know, that's called tolerance. And With the addictive properties mixed with the tolerance, this could ultimately lead to drug abuse and more pain for the patient. Thankfully, there's a range of opioids a doctor can choose from when prescribing an analgesic for a patient. There is a long list of opioids that might work for a particular individual. For instance, oxycodone, despite being notorious for its abuse, has always been crowned for its effectiveness. According to the Drugs and Aging, 100% of participants who experienced chronic pain felt a decrease in pain and showed no signs of adverse effects in 12 weeks while they were being observed taking oxycodone. From a neurobiological and physical standpoint, we can assume that short term use of opioids is a safe and effective way to deal with chronic pain. However, with every drug, there's always a risk. Common side effects when it comes to opioids include drowsiness, headaches, constipation, nausea, and vomiting. Taking too much of an opioid can result in neurotoxicity and even respiratory depression. This can also result from renal insufficiency. Due to conclude, chronic pain has turned into a global health problem, estimated to affect about 1.5 billion people worldwide. From a neurobiological point of view, opioids behave as a more advanced analgesic, giving people more time to recover. However, due to the nature of the drug, it can force people to fall into addiction and misuse. With the use of PDMPs, which are also known as prescription drug monitoring programs, doctors can monitor a patient's use of opioids. And although it doesn't completely rid addiction, it can help catch and control it in the early stages of the patient's therapy. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.